Melanie.
The first part was to prepare a story, an image, artifact, description of an event or experience that illustrates to you that quote there, "We are far from understanding the complex nature of the relationship between people and their devices."
A common thing that we all, that we all face, which is that we don't want to be too different from those around us.
And that's how to bring about inclusion, where we're actually getting in and trying something different.
So in this situation, what do I do as a daughter, right? Do I think about how do I help her have a better relationship with mobility devices? Or do we continue to just think out of the box?
As a clinician, I'm often super worried about this surface. How does it fit? How does it interact?
What do people want? And is what they say they want really what they want, or do they even know what they want?
And over that process, she went from this person who is really fearful, really down, really negative about herself, to actually embracing the technology, going out, choosing bubblegum pink, and feeling really kind of liberated by that. Training and equipping people and taking the time to hear their fears and working with them in that process to address those fears and helping people get comfortable with the technology is super important.
So Kathy, just thinking about some of these things like gender and ethnicity and age, do you feel the embracing of technology is different for men than women and of this age cohort? And also, if they're particularly older when they're transitioning, in their 80s and 90s versus somebody who's younger, do you notice any of that?
Sometimes I think we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
It's letting people choose the risk, but at some point society does say that we think that everyone's better off if we have these features, or you wear a seatbelt when you're in a car.
Yeah. How much had to happen for that not to be the case?
Yeah.
You're right. Huge social movements.
So I was working on a powered wheelchair for people who have some degree of cognitive impairment, which makes it very difficult for them to operate conventional powered wheelchairs because there are safety concerns. Are they able to use it independently?
We have to be totally focused on what works for the client. And my point is that changes.
I can empathize with the person that the reason why you may not qualify for the device doesn't necessarily seem fair, but there's things we can change, and at this moment there's things we can't change.
So I think we'll just continue with some of the storytelling, if that's okay. Some people didn't have a chance to share from earlier. So we kind of got two things going on here. We're still talking about some of those factors or some of these stories that we have in our practice that have reminded us of how complex this relationship is. And also the second set of storytelling sharing is about strategies. Like, this is the part I'm interested in too. Like, what have you either tried or heard or dealt with or know of or seen or learned of or would like to try that you think would help with some of the issues that we've already brought forth? And I'm not sure what we've all got here, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. So maybe we'll start with a couple of people who didn't get a chance to talk this morning, and then we'll open it up.
Because I know of one resident also, he would try to use it inside, but once he's going outside, is a stigma is I'm not that old to be using this. I don't want people to see me outside with it. So those are my thoughts today.
The thing that struck me about pushing her in the wheelchair and this whole relationship, issue is that the sidewalk, the environment, really affects your enjoyment of being out there.
Whereas the individuals with spinal cord injury saw their assistive devices more as an inadequate replacement for loss and their previously able-bodied functioning.
That video has resulted in this system being used in a whole bunch of other hospitals. At least 6 that I'm aware of right now have now purchased this system.
So that was an aha moment for us where we sent them, it's all about technology. No, not at all, not even close.
They created these characters, okay, and they all have something interesting about them. And they're not real people, they're sort of caricatures of characters, but at least they're not negative characters, they're fun characters.
This was one of my aha moments. I hadn't thought of this, but she was involved in some of the conversations for the Grange Park redesign over here. It's this park that they've just sort of boarded up and decided to redesign. And she was in some of the conversations with the committee that was doing the redesign. And she said, you know, build the paths so they wander. Because I haven't touched a tree in years.
New York City has got a great website on Broadway. So you click on it, I want to go see Wicked. I click on Wicked and it tells me about the show, and on the left-hand side of my screen it gives me all the accessibility features.
You need to know what are the medical issues and what are the optimal equipment issues that this person needs. But you need to emphasize it. You need to keep that in the background of your head while you're doing all this and say, what is it that you think you need and what is it that you would like and what do you want to do with it, which is the really, really, really important piece. What is it going to mean to you? This is a means to an end. And what is it going to mean to you? So that people will take ownership and use that and be able to incorporate that into their lives and may come up with unique things that you never envisaged to do with it or to adapt it.
Debbie, social stigma, social relationships, parents and children.
I appreciate that though.
Yeah. They are.
Should we put up another sheet? Yeah, where's the
Here's one here we can take. So Melanie has a couple of announcements. I just want to say thank you all. I just am it's just beyond my expectations about what's the level of conversation, the kinds of insights, and the generosity, all of you, with being here and sharing your personal as well as professional experiences and your time today. I'm just blown away by already all of the new things that we're doing and sharing.